Hello and welcome to Close to the Edge. My name is Pat, where we talk about all things prog, classic rock, heavy rock, maybe even a sticker rock. You never know. Stick around. Anyway, today I'm going to do a 10 album ranking of different bands, obviously, of their first album of 1980. Not the 80s, the actual year 1980. A few weeks ago, I did last albums from the 1970s of certain bands. Now, some of the same bands are in here, but there's a few new ones, like different ones from the last time. So, we're going to get on with it. So, here we go. At number 10 is Gentle Giant's very last album, which was released in 1980, Civilian. It's this one here. This is a double CD, which I did on the ranking of Gentle Giant. That one there is their live album, Playing the Fool. This was their last album because they broke up not long after this was released. They did a tour in America and then they decided to call it a day. This is not the Gentle Giant of the of the 70s up to say the Missing Piece. This is totally different. But I like this album actually. I think this is a very good album, and one of my favourite Gentle Giant tracks, Inside Out, is on this album. And it's a pity they broke up because who knows what they would have done in the 80s, but I think they had enough. They tried to go mainstream, a bit more poppy, a bit more melodic maybe, and they just probably knew it didn't work because they were never a big band. They never really made it big, which I think they should have been from their 70s prog. But anyway, that's my number 10, Gentle Giant's Civilian. My number 9 is Whitesnake's first album of the 1980s, Ready and Willing. I remember when I bought this when it came out on LP, it kind of blew me away really, because being a big Deep Purple fan, and with the added member of Ian Pace on drums, which I think, compared to their first two albums, Trouble and Love Hunter, it gave it an extra bit of bite because he was a brilliant drummer. Ian Pace still is a brilliant drummer. And I love this album. I love Fool for Your Lovin' on this, Sweet Talker, Ready and Willing, Black and Blue, She's a Woman. You know, my favourite track on this album is actually Ain't Gonna Cry No More. I think it starts off lovely, acoustic, and builds. But you had three members from Deep Purple on this. Obviously David Coverdale being the leader of the band, and you had Ian Pace and John Lord, with Bernie Marsden, Mickey Moody and Neil Murray on bass. But this is an excellent album. I love Whitesnake up to Slide It In, and then when they did that album in 1987 or 88, whatever it was called, they went more American and heavy metal. Didn't like it at all. This is Whitesnake's Ready and Willing. That's number 9, released in 1980. My number 8 is Eli's first album of the 80s, called Colours. This is absolutely an excellent album. Now they followed this up 1979 album, which I didn't do in the last one, which was brilliant, Silent Cries and Mighty Echoes, which is absolutely amazing. A lot of people think that's their masterpiece, but this is a brilliant album. This is heavy in places too, different, it's proggy, spacey, heavy rock. But my favourite track on this album is Child Migration. Have a listen. If you haven't listened to this album, Colours, go and look it up on YouTube or whatever. Listen to Child Migration and the guitar riff on it. It's absolutely fabulous. Anyway, that's my number 8, Eli's Colours. My number 7 is Tangerine Dream's Tangram. They followed this up. Force Majeure was 1979. This followed up. There's only one track on this, Tangram Part 1 and Part 2. This is an absolutely brilliant album. It's just brilliant. You sit back and relax and listen to this. It's just a lot of guitar on this as well. Obviously loads of synth, Moog and all that. It's absolutely brilliant, and I love Tangerine Dream. Great German band. But this is a brilliant album. If you haven't heard this album, go and check this one out. That's Tangram. My number 6 is Blue Oyster Cult's Cultosaurus erectus. Now I love Blue Oyster Cult and I must do a ranking on them very soon. I think they're a brilliant, very underrated band. And they went with the album they had in 1979, Mirrors, which I think was poor, apart from one track called The Vigil, which is one of their best tracks. And the rest of the album to me is poor, but they started the 1980s with a bang, with Cultosaurus Erectus. And of course they followed this up with Fire of Unknown Origin in 1981. But this is brilliant. I love Black Blade on this. And I love Monsters. It's very proggy actually, Monsters. Listen to Monsters on this. It's very proggy. Time signature changes and everything on it. They are brilliant musicians. Absolutely stunning album, this Cultosaurus Erectus. And they got Martin Birch in to produce this and the follow-up. And kind of give it more of an English sound, maybe so than American. But I think this is an amazing album. Anyway, that's number 6, Blue Oyster Cult's Cultosaurus Erectus. My number 5 is Black Sabbath's first album of the 80s, in 1980, Heaven and Hell. This was Ronnie James Dio's first album after he left Rainbow. Ozzy Osbourne obviously gone from Never Say Die, which was a brilliant album. And this is absolutely brilliant. I remember when I heard Neon Night, it blew me away. Absolutely brilliant. What a vocalist Dio is. He's one of the greatest vocalists, in my opinion, in rock music. I can't think of many better, to be absolutely honest. And I love Children of the Sea, the title track Heaven and Hell, Walk Away, Lonely is the Word. It's an absolutely unbelievable album. Unbelievable. If you haven't heard it, go and check it out. Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell, released in 1980. Next one up, number 4, is Yes's first album of the 80s, Drama, where of course Rick Wakeman had left and John Anderson had left, and everyone thought you got the two lads in from the Buggles, and people didn't think that would work, and they kind of scoffed at it. But I can tell you one thing, it's Yes's heaviest album, and it's the first album that I heard was Steve Howe. He played with a bit of balls, as they say. He actually did, like Machine Messiah. What a track. This is an amazing start to the 80s. Did he ever better this again? I don't think they did. I think they never ever reached that height again. Brilliant album. My number 3 is Wishbone Ashes, first album of the 80s. I have it on LP. Just Testing. And this is Martin Turner's last album with Wishbone Ash until they reformed again back in later on in 1988 with No View Calls. But this is absolutely brilliant. It's better than their last album, No Smoke Without Fire. This is absolutely top class stuff. And I don't know why they got rid of Martin Turner. They said he left. He said they got rid. So who knows? But this is, and I love Living Proof on this. But my favourite track on this is Lifeline. Doom doom doom, doom doom doom. What an album! Absolutely top class. Wishbone Ashes, Just Testing. My number 2 is Rush's first album of the 80s, Permanent Waves. What a brilliant prog album. Because I know it starts off with The Spirit of the Radio, it's a bit of reggae in that, but when you hear Free Will, that's prog. Jacob's Ladder, that's prog. Entre Nous, yeah, melodic, different strings, lovely lyrics, fantastic. Then you have Natural Science. What a track. That would blow your boat. Blows my boat. Unbelievable album to start the 80s off. And people said, did he ever better this? Well, I think they did in the next 2 albums. But after Signals, they went, as far as I'm concerned. But this is an amazing album. If you haven't heard this, go and check this out. Permanent Waves by Rush, the brilliant Canadian prog rock band, heavy rock, whatever you want to call them. Brilliant. And finally, my number one out of this 10. Now, of course, there's lots of other albums that was brought out in the 80s that I could be here all night doing it. But anyway, my number one out of this lot, I have this one on the box set. This is Jetro Tull A. This was supposed to be a solo album by Ian Anderson, but the record company decided, better send it out as a Jetro Tull album. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. I love this. Working John, Working Joe, Black Sunday, Flying Dale Flyer, Crossfire, Pine Martin's Jig. This is just an amazing album to start the 80s. People said, did they ever better this? Well, I think they never bettered it, but equalled it with Broadsword and the Beast. But after that, forget about it as far as I'm concerned. They went right downhill. And they're bringing out albums now and they're still going downhill. Getting far to go downhill now, to be honest with you. They're getting so far downhill. But this is unbelievable. And I mean that. Unbelievable. So that's my number one, Jetro Tull A. Now, what do you think of that? Let me know in the comments down below what you think. If you had to pick 10, you might pick 10 different ones than I did. Let me know. And if you like this video, please, I would ask you to subscribe. My subscription rate is going up and I want to thank everybody who has subscribed to me recently, and I'm getting more subscribers every day. People are enjoying it. I'm enjoying doing the videos. And basically that's it. But please do like and subscribe. And hopefully I'll have another video very soon. I try to keep the videos 2 a week. I don't really want to start boring you now about this, that and the other. But anyway, whatever you're doing, stay safe and enjoy your day. And I will see you very, very soon. And so from me, Pat, here on Close to the Edge, bye-bye.